Hi guys, this is Max here, back again with hopefully another great political video. And today we're going to take a little look at the trends which each state is going to go through in 2024. Now, this is not going to be a swing map. I believe that the whole country will swing to the right in 2024. I believe that the Democrats will do slightly to a bit more worse than they did in 2020, where Joe Biden unseated Donald Trump. However, a swing is not a trend. A trend is always how does a state vote compared to the national environment. So even if a state would, for example, vote more to the right than it did the year before, let's say Nevada swings to the right, as long as it swings less to the right than the rest of the country, it is still a trend into the left direction. Alright? Now, I'd suggest we get straight to it. There are a couple of states that I think will just simply trend right because of polarization. Actually, not even Kansas. I don't believe Kansas will trend right. I'll put all states in the toss-up category where do not believe there will be any major shifts. I think that Nebraska's 2nd district will trend slightly to the right, but not by too much. However, the rest of Nebraska will trend right. Arkansas definitely will. It's just the country's getting more and more polarized. As of right now, that is the case. We could also see a phase where we get less polarized, which I'd very much like to see. But assuming that the country gets more and more polarized, the areas of the country that are already Republican will become more Republican, and the areas of the country that are already Democrat will become more Democrat. But now, let's take a little look at the other states at the states that are going to trend Democrat. Now, New York will trend Democrat, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Vermont, Connecticut. I'm not sure about New Jersey, actually, and Delaware. Those two could go to the right. Actually, Connecticut as well. But Maryland will trend to the left simply off party biases. So will California, presumably Washington. I'm not sure about Washington, actually, but California will, and Hawaii will also trend to the left, presumably. Now, those are the states that are really at least moderately close, and some of them are going to become more Republican, some of them are going to become more Democrat. Now, first of all, I believe that Ohio, Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Illinois, Pennsylvania, basically the whole Rust Belt will shift right compared to the national environment. Also, I believe the same thing will happen with, probably with New Mexico, if Republicans continue to improve with the Latino vote. And Texas should stay about the same because Democrats are going to gain in the suburbs, possibly. Republicans are going to gain in the Rio Grande Valley area. But generally, I'd say that Texas it's more likely going to trend to the right this election cycle than it's going to trend to the left. It might become more Democratic in the future. Nobody knows what the future holds, but as right now, it's still very much a conservative state. Now, Georgia, I believe compared to the national environment, it will trend to the left, even though I believe it will be close in 2024. It will be very much in play for the Republicans. It might actually be a lean Republican state. It is going to be voting more to the left than the national environment. Excuse me. Now, there are a few states that are going to trend to the left. Actually, I believe that, for example, South Carolina and North Carolina, both of them very suburban states, are going to trend slightly to the left. I believe Virginia will stay about the same because Democrats are kind of maxed out in the state. Well, Florida will go more and more to the right. Miami might actually be the first really Republican city that we see. DC won't really trend simply because of the fact that DC is always ultra-democratic. Delaware and New Jersey, I think they'll actually slightly trend to the right, but I don't believe that it will be any long-term phenomenon. It simply will be that if Republicans fare well nationwide, these states will trend to the right by a slight bit. Now, Colorado, I believe it will stay about the same because it's becoming more and more of a Democratic state. So actually, yeah, it's gonna trend Democrat. Arizona will not trend as much. So will Nevada. And Oregon might shift a bit to the right if it's a really good year for Republicans. Alaska, I think it will stay around the same. Maine at large will trend slightly to the right, I believe. But Maine's second and Maine's first will remain largely the way they were, and New Hampshire, well, it's very difficult to make predictions about New Hampshire. I'm just gonna put it as a not very much trending state because it has always remained slightly left leaning but not really democratic ever since the 2000s. Alright then. This is the trend map that I expect for 2024. It does not look good for you if you're a Democrat at all. But keep in mind, you can still change that. I mean, if Joe Biden gets his act back together, if he becomes a more national figure that shows some real leadership, if the many crises that we have right now get solved, then his party still has a chance. But he's got to go to work and get stuff done. Or else, Republicans will fare in a major landslide victory in 2024. Now, maybe not a major landslide like 1984 or something, but certainly as strong as Obama's was in 2008. And I do not believe that New Jersey and Delaware are going to vote Republican. I don't believe Illinois is going to vote Republican, but those states will trend to the right compared to the national environment if the Democrats don't get their approval up. And that's the way it is. Now, I hope you guys liked this video. Likes, comments, and subscriptions are greatly appreciated. And I hope you discuss your own thoughts in the comment section down below. As of right now, guys, have a nice day, and max out. See ya.